Please join me in welcoming the 2012 Commencement Speaker, Mr. William E. Schmidt.
Thank you, Dr. Wyatt, indeed, for those very generous words. I want to thank all of the administration, the faculty, Coker College, for allowing me to be here on this wonderful day with you. It's a great honor, and it's a great honor to be back in the South, where I once worked and lived as a Times correspondent. But today, of course, belongs to you, each of you out there, the members of the class of 2012. But as a father, I also want to applaud all of the parents and the families who are standing alongside these graduates today. I've been there myself. I know how proud and maybe just a bit relieved each of you must be on this very special day. Some years ago, Osborne Elliott, the former editor of Newsweek magazine, a terrific journalist and a courtly gentleman whom we all knew by the nickname Oz, took the podium at a commencement ceremony much like this, and as I'm doing now, looked out over all these upturned faces. I would like, Oz began, to share some advice I believe will serve each of you well as you leave this college and move into the world beyond. In life, it is not who you know that matters most, it's whom you know that matters most. Grammar. Now there is something we can all count on. All those rules, all that structure, everything so clean, unambiguous. Unlike the uncertain world, all that noise and clamor beyond this campus, which all of you will soon join. I don't mean to be a downer, but it's messy out there these days. Even armed with your diplomas, and the great enduring gift of a liberal arts education at a distinguished college, you will find the job market, how should I put this, challenging. Our world, our economy is all a bit upside down. Relentless and dazzling technological change and innovation, coupled with the inexorable force of globalization, has remade markets in the workplace and redefined our place in the natural order. Our societies, our economies, the way we communicate, the way we work, the way we engage one another, all of this is being constantly remade and reinvented at a blinding, sometimes dizzying pace. Let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, as a young foreign correspondent living in Cairo, in Egypt, when telecommunications technology was pretty much defined by the big black rotary dial telephone that sat on the table in my living room. It's mostly oriental, that phone, like a houseplant, because, like the city's vast but ancient telephone system, it did not work. Until one day, to my absolute astonishment, it rang. Startled, I rushed into the living room and picked up the heavy receiver. After a moment of confusion, a voice at the other end asked in halting English, "Are you calling or receiving?" "I'm receiving," I said. And the man, after a pause, replied, "So am I." This was the Cairene equivalent of spontaneous combustion, a spontaneous connection. The wires of two telephones in two very different parts of the great tangled labyrinth of the Cairo telephone system had suddenly and mysteriously connected and burst to life. It was the last and the only time my telephone rang. Now, contrast that to the world we live in today, to what happened just a year ago, as what we now know as the Arab Spring unfolded instantly before our eyes, in real time, on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. Social media not only brought us the revolution as it happened, but each tweet, each posting, each pulse of electronic energy was itself a kind of self-perpetuating electronic prophecy, drawing more and more people into the moment and the chanting crowds inside Tahrir Square, sustaining and furthering a popular revolution that ultimately overthrew a government and changed the nation. In almost every way, the early 21st century The one you are about to join as young college graduates is a time of amazing ferment, of great possibility, and also peril. For the innovators at Google, at Apple, at Amazon, at 100 laboratories we don't even know yet, the new global digital landscape has unleashed vast currents of huge energy and will create great streams of revenue someday for someone. But it will probably change all of our lives in amazing ways. Yet for many of the fundamental institutions that straddle the divide between the 20th and the 21st centuries, between the analog world and the digital world, I'm thinking here of the church, the government, Wall Street, and particularly my own world, the media. For these institutions, the old rules that framed our expectations have been shaken, forcing a reevaluation of our place and our relevance. As a ranking editor at the Times, I've seen firsthand the cost of this disruption, the death of many newspapers, the loss of thousands of jobs as newsrooms cut back or shut down entirely in the face of declining revenue, as advertisers and readers deserted the profitable world of print in favor of a new digital landscape, a world where information and entertainment was not only widely available, but mostly free. Clay Shirky, a professor at New York University, wrote a wonderfully perceptive essay not long ago in which he compared the disruptive force of the web on the newspaper industry with the disruptive consequences of Gutenberg's printing press on society and culture in the 15th century. Not only did Gutenberg's technology displace an entire industry of monks who would transcribe books by hand, the mass reproduction of tracts and volumes, which until then had been available only to the elite of the church, turned European culture and society on its head. It was revolutionary, spreading literacy and causing people to challenge the old political and religious institutions that until then had fixed the role of man within society. So now we too, all of us, are amid a period of evolutionary, if not exactly revolutionary change. For now, let's just call it messy chaos. Amid the cacophony of the internet, so many choices, so much noise. My industry, my newspaper must now find a new business model built on what advertisers and what readers like yourselves want in a world where print no longer rules. But something else is at stake here. And with that, I am now thinking of all of you, as readers, as consumers, as young citizens who will soon leave your campus to embark as full participants in our great democratic enterprise. I really don't know if it matters that much to you whether the news or the entertainment that you consume is printed on dead trees or streamed across an infinite digital ether, whether you watch it on a television or a computer screen or a smartphone you carry around in your pocket. But here is what should matter to you. What should matter to you is the quality and the integrity of the news and the entertainment you are served. The content that will help you make the decisions about your life and the life of our republic. What should matter to you is the journalism. For my part, I've always had an idealistic, maybe it's idealized, sense of the journalist's mission. My role, my duty really as a reporter, had been to write what some have loftily described as the first draft of history. It is to bear witness, to go where others are unable to go, from the inner hallways of Congress to foreign capitals to a Marine fire base in Kandahar, and describe as honestly and fairly as possible what I have seen and tell you, the reader, what it means in as contextualized a way as possible. This is a simple but powerful notion, because only in this way, truly, can we test truth against rumor and illuminate the darker corners of the world. This is why even today, the New York Times unlike many of the websites and aggregators who compete for our business and readers, spends millions of dollars to deploy reporters into places like Iraq and Afghanistan and Africa. The cost of this kind of journalism is not measured in dollars alone. It is also measured in the personal courage of those who are willing to go into harm's way, often at a great risk to themselves. Sadly, in the decades since the invasion of Iraq, several of our staff members serving in war zones have endured kidnapping, detention, and injury. Even more tragically, 3 foreign nationals in our employ have been shot to death in separate incidents in Iraq and in Afghanistan. And just last February, the distinguished foreign correspondent Anthony Shadid, a man whose reporting had already earned him 2 Pulitzer Prizes, died while on a reporting assignment for the Times inside Syria. At a time when there is so much unreliable information just a click away, it is important for you to know this, because this commitment to serious journalism, to this idea of bearing witness, is what differentiates what we do from so many others across the digital landscape. I have lived and I have worked in totalitarian societies like the Soviet Union. I have spent time in some of the unshaped places of the world, in Africa, the Middle East, places riddled with corruption and supported by untested political institutions. What you learn in those places is that information and truth is a powerful weapon, something that the founders of our republic understood clearly when they affirmed the notion of a free press as part of our Constitution. They gave the press special standing as a bulwark to protect the free flow of information. They understood that information freely shared and freely expressed is the oil that sustains the engine of democracy. These days, for all of us, stakes are ever higher. Even with so much information so widely available across the web, public disclosure, or rather public discourse in this country is sadly at low ebb. Debate is polarized, and sometimes we cannot agree on the most basic facts. Debate on the most complex issues, on race, on poverty, on gender, on religion, on immigration, the debate is too often reduced to slogans and rote partisan sloganeering. As young citizens, as professionals, as homemakers, as mothers and fathers, you will have to confront these issues and more, from a moribund economy that has shredded the job market to the peril of global instability and a nation that has been at war now for more than a decade. I believe it is in times like these times, when there is so much uncertainty and anxiety, when rumor travels faster than fact, it is at times like these that you most need serious institutions, real journalists and real journalism that will bear witness and add context and help you differentiate what is real from what is not, and importantly, to tell our stories, your stories, with empathy and understanding. So let me urge all of you to insist on being well-informed, because only by being well-informed can you truly put into practice the values and the wisdom that come with a liberal arts education. Let me share the words that my colleague Jill Abramson, the executive editor of the Times, recently told graduates at my alma mater, the University of Michigan. You should demand, she told them, to be informed by journalism that honors your intelligence. Okay, I'm not going to try to sell everybody here a subscription to the New York Times today. I am just hoping you will leave here today joining me in my belief that a good and just society ultimately rests on an informed people, and that a fair and a free and a responsible press is essential to that. As for the rest, well, I wish you all good fortune and good lives. Your ultimate success, the achievements that lie in your future, will depend on many things. Chance can matter as much as calculation, passion, sometimes more than skill. Of course, I understand that ceremonies like this are supposed to be about the future. So, as far as helping you navigate your way from here to there, perhaps you might better look to science fiction, where the future is often what the story is all about, which allows me to bring to mind, by the way, a thought from William Gibson, an author who was among the first to take us as readers into cyberspace, and the man who created the slightly mind-bending world of steampunk. The future is already here, Mr. Gibson once said. It's just not evenly distributed yet. For my part, the advice I've offered my own children is simply to remember that the journey can be as important as the destination, that you can do a lot worse than live a life that sustains a sense of possibility. And who knows, perhaps one of you, like Steve Jobs, just might invent $1 billion company in your garage too. I know your parents certainly hope so. So with that, congratulations to the class of 2012. Thank you for listening. Here's to faith and to hope. Thank you.